Lindsey, thank you. Premenstrual discomfort, it's a feeling many people experience in the week or two leading up to their periods. Today, we're breaking down the difference between premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual dysphoric disorder, commonly known as PMS and PMDD. The two have overlapping symptoms. They're often mistaken for one another. And studies show up to 75% of people who have periods may have mild PMS, and up to 10% may have PMDD with moderate to severe symptoms that can cause significant distress and functional impairment. So how do you know what you're experiencing? Is it severe PMS or PMDD? Joining us with answers is Dr. Michelle Jacobson. Great to have you in.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the basic definition. What is PMDD?
So PMDD occurs in a subset of women who are also suffering from the symptoms of PMS. And PMS has gone through many different name changes over the years, some more favorable to women than others. But now we know that a majority of women who get PMS symptoms may experience some dysfunction, may impairment to their function, but up to 10% of those women will have a severe impairment to their functioning that's predictable and cyclic, and that is the definition of PMDD.
And when you say significant impairment, like what are we talking about here?
Some women are suicidal, some women are unable to work. So when it comes to the definition of PMDD, and this is well defined in the DSM-5, which is where we break down the diagnostic criteria for different psychiatric disorders, it's going to have an impairment that affects their physical well-being, their emotional well-being, their academic or scholastic well-being, and for some women that can be severe.
So we've got some symptoms up here on the screen. Take us through these.
So there, again, for a PMDD, which is a psychiatric disorder, we're going to have very strict diagnostic criteria. So women have to have 5 out of 11 symptoms that include a mood symptom like depression, anxiety, irritability, hopelessness, and then some of the other more common symptoms of depression like changes to their sleep, changes to their appetite, changes to their ability to sort of move fluidly and comfortably, and then other criteria that make it PMDD specifically versus just depression, let's say, are going to be things like it's predictable, it happens at least over 2 cycles in a row when women are tracking their symptoms, and of course it has to be related to the menstrual cycle, where it starts to occur anytime after ovulation and starts to get better shortly after the actual menses start.
So I can imagine for a lot of people who are listening to this feels really hard to differentiate between PMS because some of these symptoms are overlapping, but there obviously is a difference with PMDD. They both are different in several ways. So what are the main differences between PMS and PMDD?
Probably the degree of impairment. So that's kind of like saying, what's the major difference between sometimes feeling sad and having major depressive disorder?
Right.
That's the difference between PMS and PMDD.
And I think important to know when you're saying it's interfering with that daily routine, it's time to do something about that.
I mean, even if you don't meet diagnostic criteria, if it's interfering with your daily routine, there are going to be ways that you can help yourself, even if it's just PMS. But for sure, PMDD, you're going to be so impaired that you need help.
Okay, so what kind of treatment options are we talking about here?
So treatment options can either fall into treating the mood or treating the hormonal fluctuations. Some things that all women can introduce to help with their symptoms are going to be things like exercise, stopping smoking, mindfulness, and there's some dietary modifications. So things like calcium, vitamin B6, anything that increases L-tryptophan. So turkey is kind of the classic. Chasteberry has evidence for it. When it comes to medications, sometimes we use antidepressant type medications that work on the serotonin receptor. That's going to be common medications that some people take for depression, but these can be taken cyclically. So they can be taken just with the low mood around the period. And for some women, it's going to be hormonal suppression. So we're going to shut down their menstrual cycle, give them very stable levels of hormones in return. Sometimes it's going to be a birth control pill so that women aren't cycling on their own. And there are some pills that the states have actually remarketed specifically for PMDD that we also have available in Canada, and some other hormonal suppressants.
So if you're a person who's had your period for a while and you're just finding out about this, you've never heard this before, what kind of a difference would it make in their life to get that PMDD diagnosis and finally have answers?
Well, the diagnosis is so validating, right? So many women, and especially in women's health, have been made to feel that this is just their hysteria or their premenstrual tension, and this is something that gets laughed about a lot of the time. Imagine knowing this is a real psychiatric diagnosis, there's something that can be done about it, and then doing something and having your functioning improve. That's magic.
That's the word. That's magic. Doctor, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.